Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and today we are talking about different insiders that are speaking on the next Nintendo Direct. Actual people that have shown to have some good information before it's officially announced about what Nintendo may be announcing, and there's a few that have spoken on the next Nintendo Direct. So then, when is that Direct, and what might it entail? Well, that's what we're talking about today. But before going forward, let me point out that we are aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers, maybe by the time Nintendo Switch 2 comes out. So if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Leaving a like is also super helpful. And enjoy the ride as we attempt to talk about Nintendo every day. So let me put out the obligatory take this with a grain of salt. You don't know what's actually going to happen until it's officially confirmed, but look at the evidence and decide for yourself, come to your own conclusions, and let's have a fun conversation about what may be happening. So, I have 3 different potential insiders to talk about today. 2 of which I would say are pretty much concretely, definitely insiders, and I think most of you will agree. And another is someone new that's popped up recently, and there do seem to be some things that they are saying that seem to be supporting the fact that they do know what's going to happen. So the first insider, or leaker, Pororo. A lot of you may know of this person. Pororo is someone who typically puts out information on Nintendo announcements shortly before they are going to happen, and they have yet to have been proven wrong. It seems that once the Nintendo marketing team has put some material together, they get insight to that in some way, shape, or form, and they start to tease what that may be on Twitter. The most recent leak from them had to do with the Another Code Recollection trailer and demo. This happened in December, but then before that, there were a number of things they said about the September Direct. They hinted at F-Zero 99 and Mario vs. Donkey Kong. But then before that, in the lead up to the Summer Direct, they gave us info on the Mario Wonder announcement. And over time, they've built up a very crystal clear track record here. And they don't speak very often on social media. It's pretty much exclusively related to putting out little teases about eminent Nintendo announcements. Not necessarily huge Nintendo announcements, but eminent Nintendo announcements. Things about to happen in the next week or 2, if not sooner. And so Charles reposted this rumor coming from Zippo, who has come back from the dead, and Zippo is saying that there will be some type of Direct in January that would have to do with getting out the last announcements related to Nintendo Switch 1. And what Charles asked here, Jan, ? Can you confirm? He added Pororo. And Pororo responded and simply said no. And so there is some room for interpretation here, because Charles phrased this in a way where it's arguably 2 different questions. He first said Jan ? And then said, can you confirm? And so, is he saying no to there being a January Direct, or is he saying no to if he can confirm or not if this is legit information coming from Zippo? And so we don't know. My personal opinion is that he's saying no, he cannot confirm. But at the same time, I do think we probably should be expecting a Nintendo Direct in February, because usually Nintendo Directs happen in February. There are cases where it doesn't. And I have been arguing that if this is the year that Nintendo Switch 2 is supposed to come out, Nintendo's next generation console, that may shake up things a little bit in terms of what we should expect from Nintendo and their Directs. And so maybe that does open the door for something to happen in January. But still, the history suggests that usually we get Directs in February, so I do think that is the safer expectation. But yes, at the same time, we still don't know what exactly is going to happen, and it doesn't look like Pororo here has truly clarified, but perhaps you can take a look at it and decide for yourself what Pororo is suggesting. But we got more info. Jeff Grubb, a known industry journalist who has put out information in the past about different things, but has gotten the timing wrong on some things, although I still think they're very reliable. Just, again, when you're hearing about things through the grapevine, you're not going to always get the timing right, like Metroid Prime Remastered, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Pikmin 3 Deluxe. But during the Giant Bomb podcast, this is what they said. This Developer Direct is the first one of these events we're getting from these companies in 2024. This is the Xbox presentation. It is the one I heard that was coming up the fastest, but you can always count on a Nintendo Direct in February. It is almost certainly going to happen in February again. And so I listened to the clip, I watched this, I saw this post on NeoGAF, but this is clearly a clip from the actual Giant Bomb podcast. All of that will be linked in the description below. You can check it out for yourself, decide for yourself the context and what he was getting at here. But honestly, my interpretation is that this is more of his opinion rather than straight fact. It is possible that he has heard something and this is leading him to say what he's saying, but I'm not going to take it as straight fact. Even if he did straight up here that a direct is happening in February, I still wouldn't take it as straight fact, although again, considering the history, it does seem like a safe, likely bet. But now enter this third potential insider, Tommy Bear Knows. And so with this person, they don't have that much of a following. A lot of what they've been talking about for the past year has been going under the radar until recently, our buddy Nate, Nintendo Prime, got the scoop on this, discovered Tommy Bear Knows on Twitter, had an actual message conversation with them privately, looked at their track record, and did observe that there have been times that they've teased or put out some information indicating a direct announcement or some sort of announcement from Nintendo, and that did prove to actually happen. However, I've taken a look at their posts and I've seen some things they've said have happened after, say for example, Pororo has put out something, and so I'm not 100% certain that they know for sure when something's going to happen, or if they're just piggybacking off of Pororo, or maybe they're just getting some solid predictions out there, because they haven't put out a lot of concrete information. But today, they did put out some more new information, and so maybe they are further supporting this idea that they are indeed getting some real details about Nintendo before it's announced. So Tommy tweeted, "There's going to be an announcement today. It won't be as good as it looks, at 6:16 a.m. today." And then, later today, Nintendo tweeted, "An abandoned mansion sits atop the ominous Blood Edward Island, but what secret does this place hold? Play the free demo today, and transfer save data when another code recollection launches on Nintendo Switch January 19th. So this isn't much of an announcement, but it is a tweet about a game that is coming from them, a published Nintendo title, in a week and a half. So, are they hinting at things here? Perhaps. Their Twitter will be linked in the description below. You can look through their Twitter feed and decide for yourself if they are actually hinting at things before Nintendo's officially announced. They've been vague. Now, what they have told Nintendo Prime, and what they've also alluded to in some replies, is that the Nintendo Direct we're hoping for, expecting, and talking about is going to happen in the first week of February. And in this Direct, we will be getting information on Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which we already know about, but we'll be getting some new details that would include new content revolving around Luigi. So if this does happen in the first week of February, then I might actually be thinking we have a legit insider on our hands here, or a leaker if you prefer to use that terminology. We have the Zippo rumor. Zippo was back, even though their account was taken down. Apparently it was because someone was flagging them for posting inappropriate content. It wasn't because Nintendo took them down, and they claimed it wasn't a publicity stunt, and it wasn't for any personal reason. Do I take their word on there being a Direct in January with any serious nature? Not really. They got the Mario Wonder stuff right, but they've posted so many other things in the past, and a lot of it has yet to have been confirmed. So, while it might be fun to have a conversation about them and what they're talking about, I'm not taking it seriously. And so we have all these other people who are showing at least some track record of being true, or an entire track record of being true in the case of Pororo, where they're more so indicating, it seems, that February is the time. Of course, with Pororo, there is some room for interpretation there. I think the safe expectation is, yeah, we're going to get a Direct in February. Probably not January. But I also think it should be noted that a lot of this conversation is about Nintendo Switch 1, not necessarily Switch 2. And I still stand by the idea that Switch 2 is coming out this year, and I still stand by my prediction that we'll get an official announcement from Nintendo about this console by the end of the fiscal year, March 31st. But March 31st, Well, that's after February. And so I can see a scenario where we will go through both January and February without getting any official details from Nintendo about their next console. But Nintendo will still need to have some sort of presentation. And so maybe we still get another Nintendo Direct as we've been getting the last few years in February. But I am wondering just how significant this Direct would be. When we got the September Direct last year, I questioned if that was the last full general Nintendo Direct that was just about Nintendo Switch. Something I noticed that happened last year, it started last year, all the Directs were started to be titled The Direct with its date, but then dash Nintendo Switch. This wasn't the case in prior years. And also the way they ended the September Direct with that trailer at the end sort of summing things up, it felt like it had some finality to it. And maybe the finality had more so to do with the idea of it being the last Direct of the year, but I do kind of wonder if that September Direct was the last full Nintendo Direct. And so maybe we do get a Nintendo Direct the first week of February. But what if it's not a full Direct? What if it's a Nintendo Direct Mini? And who knows, maybe it does happen in January instead. After all, Pororo arguably just said he could not confirm if it's happening in February or not, and with what Grubb has said, it's arguably just speculation based off history and not actual getting some inside info when it's happening. So maybe a January Direct Mini could occur, which we have gotten in the past, and that happened the year after the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. It's possible. But it's also possible we still get a full Nintendo Direct in February. But I do question just how full it might be if a Switch 2 announcement is soon and a lot of the big heavy hitters are going to be coming to Switch 2 in the second half of the year. What do you announce? Considering what we already know about the Switch lineup, we have January through March already. We need to get the date for the DLC for Splatoon 3 side order, but we already know about that. That's just DLC, that's not a major announcement. We already know about Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, we already know about Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, a remake and a remaster, and both those games have recently been rated by the ESRB, suggesting that they are content complete, ready to go pretty much, and could be coming out really soon if Nintendo so chooses, and maybe those games help to fill up the first half of the year. In other words, typically when we get the earlier Direct, that tells us the line for the first half of the year, and what I'm saying here is that we may already know pretty much what the first half of the year lineup is. And so Nintendo may just need to put out a smaller Direct that just kind of concretely tells us exactly when these things are coming, gets us up until the summer window, maybe another game or two to fill it up just a little bit more and have us knowing about content for June and maybe even July. But that June Direct, which we usually get, will line up the rest of the content leading until the holidays, where we then get a September Direct that more concretely lists out the content for that period and also tells us a little bit about the beginning of the next year. We may not need a big general Direct to tell us about what's to come until June. We may just need a Direct Mini. And if that's the case, I think that could be a hint towards a major Switch 2 announcement before March 31st. But we shall see. It may be a few weeks before we really know what's going to happen. But what do you guys think? Do you think a Direct could still happen in January? Do you think the Switch 2 announcement will happen before March? And do you think the next Direct will be a Mini? Just about Switch 1 or something else? Let me know in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.